eyes of the Iranian population, and in particular in the eyes of those who are fighting for human rights in Iran, like herself. Recently, their presence led to, even in the, Ms. Rajavi comes often to this parliament. She can meet, she has rooms available. Again, it shows that there are members who are willing to support her coming here. In one of such meetings, there was even a row with someone just outside the parliament, who I believe is here, who was a victim of an aggression, physical aggression, by the MEK, Mr. Roshan, I think he's here, and he is still bearing the physical consequences of that. Again, this is something which is totally unacceptable. One more reason why I believe that indeed we need to talk about the threats that is now happening in Albania. Albania is a country that is negotiating accession to the EU. Whatever is happening there concerns us all in the EU. And indeed, we cannot, because it suited the Bush administration to transfer these people out of Iraq, where they were becoming very inconvenient, to the country that accepted them, Albania, we can simply not neglect what are the implications. That's why I will end my introduction, which is already long, but I think it was due, to thank again the speakers and to open the floor to their statements. And we hear that Ms. Vannuccini, she's a journalist from the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, did miss her flight, so she cannot be with us today. But I'm very pleased to give the floor first to Mr. Nicola Pede. He's from the Rome-based Institute for Global Studies. I know that you've been participating in other meetings here in the Parliament in the subject and also on this one, so we're very pleased to listen to you. Please, Mr. Pede.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for the invitation. And well, I would like to bring my contribution, putting together the Italian experience and what I'm assessing in Albania. So the risks that Albania is facing with the threat of what we called, being a defense analyst, what we call the intoxication of the political debate. This is exactly the point I would like to go over in my short speech. What we've seen in Italy, especially during the Berlusconi government, when, as you remember, there was an open access to the MKO members and Mariam Rajavi in the parliament, with invitations in the parliament and by other governmental bodies. The number of MPs which have signed these declarations or letter of support for the organization increased dramatically. We had almost 70% of the MP members, which in a way the others, has signed the document or supported directly or indirectly the group. And talking to most of these members, what we realize is that the vast majority of these MPs don't even remember that they've met these guys or that they've supported them in some events. Some of them remember that they've signed something, but they didn't remember what they've signed and which was the organization they were supporting. And only a few of them, and I can tell less than 5 among those we have interviewed, remembered and were deliberately supporting the group and adhered to what was written on this piece of papers. So the problem is that, as always happened also with the previous parliaments, we have the same phenomenon. So basically the diffuse ignorance on Iran issues in the parliament, and especially on the various groups which are rotating around the Iran or against Iran, is providing a very fertile terrain for those who are approaching the MPs and for those who are trying to use this initial support in order to extend the network inside the governmental institutions. What we fear is that these letters have been used in order to increase their capacity of penetration inside the institutions and trying to, as I said, intoxicate the debate regarding the bilateral relations between the Italian Republic and the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is one of the issues that we are extremely concerned on, in the sense that we fully support the country of the JCPOA. As you know, Italy has very good relations with Iran, and it's not only an economic partner, but it's also a quite strong political partner in both the bilateral and multilateral dimension. And of course, the debate over the JCPOA has been affected several times by the attempt from several groups to enter into this debate at various levels, from at a political level, but not only. Just to give you an example, there is an organization which I will not mention here, but which is sending letters to all the companies which are working in Iran, or which are trying to work with Iran, asking for, basically what they're asking is, you have 7 days to provide us the name of your counterparts, the exact nature of your job in Iran, the number of employees, the amount of money that you are putting on your bill, and remember that you risk to be put on a list of companies which are blacklisted in the international arena. So this is a private organization which is sending these messages to Italian companies, and not only Italian companies, trying to scare them to simulate, to be part of a governmental environment, or something which is bigger than a private organization, and having as an effect the capacity of scaring most of these companies, which have been they were asking the government and the police forces clarification regarding the nature of the group behind this letter, and the nature of threat they were facing, not answering to the requests which were specified in these letters. And this is just one of the examples that I would like to bring in terms of the risk that we are facing in terms of what we call intoxication. But there is also the political intoxication, so the capacity of bringing inside the parliament, bringing inside the commissions, bringing inside the overall political debate the idea that dealing with the Islamic Republic of Iran is risky, or even worse, there could be bringing Italy on the brink of a conflict, or being involved in other kind of accusations with respect to the support of a criminal government. Well, this is something that had an impact in certain political groups, had an impact in certain environment inside the parliament, had an impact on the media, and bringing this experience on a larger scale over the Albanian case. What I've seen in Albania since the beginning of their presence there is that they are trying to replicate the model exactly as it was in Italy. They're approaching MPs, they're approaching journalists, they're approaching opinion makers, they're approaching all those who have the capacity of playing a role or influencing the political and social debate in the country. In a country which is very small, with a lot of problems, not only economics, we are talking about several security problems coming from the Balkan regions, where there are groups which are connected with international jihadism. So Albania is a particular case. We are not talking about Italy. We are talking about a country which is risking to be involved in something which could be detrimental to the national interest. And the political debate has been affected by the presence of the Mojahedin-e Khalq. Since the beginning of the arrival, what I've seen is that 2 or 3 years ago, basically, very few Albanians even remember the name of the group. Now there is a bigger debate on their presence. There is a larger knowledge of their role of their presence, and there is a capacity of affecting the political debate in the parliament with information, with data, with pieces of economic and political information, which are, of course, produced in a way to derail the interest of the country toward the Islamic Republic of Iran. The problem of Albania is that we have a camp. We have not only a community living in the country, we have a huge amount of people which is again active as a group inside the country. They have been given a facility, a former university building, which is used by this group, and there is a capacity of bringing this this group into the political and social environment, interacting with the local political and social representative, producing an effect which is in this moment risking to affect the capacity of the government in judging his own position with regard to not only international affairs but security in the region, and most in particular security in the Balkan region. Well, just one clarification from our own experience, and I don't know if this applies also for Albania. One of the questions that we are always trying to answer when we have dealt with this group in Italy is, which is the final goal, which is the objective of this group, is, as Gomez correctly said, there's no future for them in Iran. They have an horrible reputation in Iran. There's no future for them inside the country. There's no capacity to access the Iranian society as a political or as a political alternative in the country. There's no capacity, in my opinion, at an international level to play a role bigger than the one they're playing today, so that they could affect the capacity of certain